Hello everyone and welcome to episode 5 of Downs Your Way. And this episode is entitled Stand on My Feet, The Journey of a Song. In the previous episode we talked about the idea of looking at how a song gets developed from the point when it's first invented, if you like, or established right through to the final end product. And I'm starting by sitting with Rebecca.
Hello.
Who was the instigator of this particular number. So
You've got me to blame.
So can you tell us where and when you were when you came up with the very first idea?
Stand on My Feet was, a strange one because, as some of you know, I vocal train as well, vocal coach, and a pupil didn't turn up. So, armed with only a piano and not a guitar, as is my usual instrument of choice, and I can't really play the piano very well, to be honest. I'm pretty amateur. I just started sort of, for want of a better word, tatting about with it, and came up with the little arpeggio at the start, which came in two parts, I think, from what Steve said. I sort of came up with the first bit, sent it to him, went, oh, there's another bit, where it went down again. And then I sort of padded out the basic chords that I thought should kick it off. And then that went to Steve. And that was all in, the process of 10 minutes, I think. And then within the next sort of half an hour, I'd sort of padded out how the verse should sound and how the chorus should fit in, but kind of nothing in between, really. It was just like the basic bones of what the song could be. And sent that to Steve, and I do believe he has those still.
Okay, so I'm now with Steve.
Hello.
Hello, Steve.
Hello.
And we're sitting in his studio, and I really want to pick up from the point that the recording that Rebecca had done arrived with you by email.
Yep.
So what exactly did you receive, and what did you do with it next?
Yeah, so I got the original idea, which was just called Piano Idea, which is a bit unusual for Bex, because normally you get the full lyric and everything with it. But no, I just got this piano idea, which I presume she was messing around with in a little point in between doing some teaching, because you can hear some police sirens in the background if you listen carefully. So that shows you where she was at. Yeah, but I'm going to take you right from that, which arrived on the 7th of July 2014. Yep, that long ago. It was actually a candidate to go on to the Believe album, but didn't go on. We'll talk about that in a bit. And this is what I received. And of course, this is then what eventually ended up as. From that. Okay, so that's the start and the end. So what I'm going to try and do is fill you in between that point. Okay, next thing I received was a similar piano bit, but with a little bit of embellishment on it. So this now becomes the piano thing that you can hear in Stand on My Feet. This is the exact thing. Just got a nice little flurry at the end of it. Okay, so I got that through.
So she sent you that?
She sent me this, yeah. So obviously still warbling around in the school or...
So that was without any feedback?
Cottage.
Sorry to cut.
Nothing from me, no. She just added that extra little bit on there. And then she added a chord to it. Okay, so you're beginning to get the sort of a feel for, obviously that piano riff is the whole essence of the song, and then I got some vocal ideas come through from her, which was this. I think this was all in the same session, from what I can gather. etc. There's a little bit more to it than that actually, but you can hear like the rudiments of the main melody coming through, and also the rudiments of the main lyric coming through.
So I'm back with Rebecca. So when did you write the lyric for this, and how many iterations did it go through?
I like the word iteration. I'm going to try and put that in a song because it's a big word. Okay. Thank you.
The rhyming challenge would be great.
Rhyming challenge for iteration. Obliteration. No, okay. The words, I think the main source of the first verse definitely and the chorus were on the first day, so like the 7th of July. I've had to look that up because there's no way in a million years I'd remember. That's 2014. And over the next day. But the first "there is nothing out of me, yeah, what makes me happy makes me sad" just dropped out of my mouth, which it normally does. It's kind of like jumping off a cliff. You don't know what words are going to come out. And with this song, the words just came out. That's how it worked.
And did it go through many stages of polishing? As it
really,
were?
the lyrics, not really. Once I'd sort of bodied it all out, it was mainly the arrangement, and that was down to Steve.
Right, so what happens then, the standard procedure then, is that if I send Bex an idea and she says, "Oh yeah, that's great," or she goes, "No, not sure about that," and likewise I get this through and I go, "Yeah, we can definitely do something with that." Or sometimes I get an idea come through and I go, "Not sure, nah." But this one, yeah, sure. So what I did then is I thought, okay, I need to get a groove for this. I need it to go. I'll play you some of the things that I've thought, this is what's going to go with this particular thing. First off, bass line, because the bass line is absolutely central as well to that thing. So here's the bass line that I put on the demo. This, which is pretty minimal. But the thing about that bass line, which is something that we'd never done before, is that it's actually a dubbed reggae style bass line. And it has a technical term which is called a one drop bass line, because you don't play on the first beat. Right? This is what happens in reggae. It's a standard thing in reggae. So if I'm counting this, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not playing on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So actually, it could have been a reggae track. Shall I play you what it would have been like if it was a reggae track? as a reggae track, it would have come out. Get it?
Yeah.
You never know. At some point in the future, you never know what's going to happen with that.
I mean, just to comment from my point of view, I mean, what's curious about the way the song's been put together is that when I first heard it, and I didn't get to hear, I mean, we'll come to the sort of the final demo version, which is what I got to hear. The two things that hooked me in within milliseconds were the piano and the bass.
Yeah.
And all I heard was about, I don't know, 10 notes max, and wow, this is something. Now, I mean, the lyric and everything that followed is obviously superb as well, but it's amazing how those are the two things that to me personally hooked me into the song.
Absolutely. So I'll tell you what I'll do. If I go through basically the demo that I'd got eventually out of this piano part, obviously, and in the original demo, this piano part went all the way through. That little triangle type thing as well, a little bit of percussion and triangle, that goes all the way through as well. Drum beat, which is somewhere around here, not there. This is actually, I programmed in the first drum beat, but this is actually Lloyd playing round here on an electric kit. But there you've got the essence of, it has a slightly reggae feel to it, although it's not quite perceptible. It's probably in the vein of something like Massive Attack do, where there's always like an undercurrent of some sort of reggae to it. Now the other thing that really I thought has got to go on here is that the guitar, because we thought this was like a sort of music noir thing, so we wanted the guitar to have that. I don't know how you describe it. It's got lots of effects on it. It's got tremolo. It's got delay. It's got lots of reverb on it. So it sounds sort of mysterious, almost like a sort of crime drama.
Yeah.
That sort of noir type feel. So anyway,
is there like a pecking order of the way you layered these things in? Then I mean, we talked about the piano, we talked about the bass line.
Yeah.
What order did the rest come, or is that a jumble in your mind that you've just got to get down?
I think actually the first thing I put down was the guitar part with that, because if you've got the piano part and you've got the guitar part, then you've got like the bulk of things going on, and you also know what's going on chord wise as well. And then the bass guitar after that, and really the drum part of it sort of fell out from there. And then everything else, to be honest, is sort of embellishments and what have you. But once Bex had sent me the vocal part of it, we then got together and we were putting these bits together. And the first demo that we did sounded like this. Again, not much different really from the finished thing. Okay, so you that's the very first demo that we did.
So kind of get the order of service right, as it were. You've received the original thing. You then 2 or 3 embellishments. Then you've sat down and added in various layers, and then the two of you get together in the same room. And you thrash it out. It's a question I shall probably return to with Beck as I flick between the two of you. But at what point did the lyric come together on this?
Okay, well, Bex had got most of the lyrics sorted out by the time we'd done that first demo.
Okay.
But what we had to do in between that is the problem with that riff is that once you've got something that's going round and round, it's difficult to get out of it.
Yes.
What are you going to do? It's a very minor riff, so it's sort of introspective and it's sort of slightly haunting. So probably the first major move from that was to just drop in an A chord across. We got that B minor to G thing going on, but then to drop in and at the start of the track, it just does that a couple of times. It's like a little taster as to what's going to come, and then you get the bridge part of it. And at this point, it hits the stand on my feet. So it's gone from, well, I'll tell you, the original lyric, which is sort of dark, original lyric is, "This is nothing now to me, yeah, what made me happy makes me sad." So that's got to be dark, that's got to be... But the Stand on My Feet is uplifting, so you got to take it, this is a bit of sort of musicology to it, to a major key. Like big, walloping, open A chord, major, uplifting, and that then captured the other side of the tune. And then really, once you've got those three sections, you've got the verse section, you've got bridge section, you've got the chorus section, the rest is then embellishment, putting things on top of it, just to make it as big as possible where it needs to be big. And one of the things I do love about this track is that it starts off, the very first verse is just bass, guitar and drum, nothing else, nothing else. And then it gradually builds up to be this monster. And you've always got a decision to make in a track like this. Is it going to be like a verse, and then you're going to go to the chorus, and then you're going to go back to the verse, and it's going to kick into that first chorus, or is it you're going to let it develop and develop and develop? And the woes at the end of it, of course, just sort of make the full-on, yeah, here we go, here's the big finale to the whole thing.
So at what point did you get to that demo that I got to hear then? I mean, how long roughly did that gestation take?
No, that's a very good question. It probably took difficult, because by the time we actually took this in to be recorded, which would be about 2017, I'd taken the original demo and I'd sort of tweaked it around, and we'd also by then done Beck's main vocal here, which we also had as the final thing. I'd also redone my guitar, which we also had as the final thing from that demo. So yeah, we'd tweaked it around a bit. I said it was going to be on Believe, or is considered for Believe, but it's decided really it was like a jump too far. You know, this one drop bass line, the sort of the fact that it was a slow builder. So it took until the Sinner album for it to be like, yeah, okay, this will now fit in with the rest. And in fact, it's probably a guideline to what the rest of the Sinner album became, if you like.
Well, I think from my point of view, as the sort of uneducated neutral party who gets presented with these things for a comment, you know, from a sort of, I suppose, a listener point of view, I mean, it was clearly very, very different to anything you'd done before. The problem I have to bring to bear on this is that, you know, my musical tastes lie away from or tend away from you know, the blues, if you like, the core blues, where, and I know you've never really been core blues, but like there were threads of that into your music, and I've always loved everything that you've done, but I've you know, I kind of face away in the other direction, in the direction of more Sinner than back to like core blues. So when I first heard the track, it was so much closer to the core of my musical taste that's, you know, what I got excited about. And I think, as I said, it's always something I have to bring to bear on it, is to think, well, try and take a step back from my own personal sort of tastes and feelings about it, and think, how does this sit in the greater scheme of things? But it just was so different, but so exciting as a result to me personally, that I was very keen to see it become part of the next album, irrespective of where that went. I mean, we've told the story effectively in other casts of how the more Sinner Than Saint developed with the input of people like Chris Kimsey and others. But it was that demo was. I mean, as I said before, I was saying to Beck, you've got to get this out there. You know, it's such a fantastic track. Yeah,
I mean, there are still some bluesy elements in this.
Oh yeah, I appreciate that.
In the guitar part. That's going on in the guitar, but there's a little bit at the end of it where I swear I've ripped off John Mayer as well, which you... Somebody tell me what John Mayer song that is. I'm sure I've ripped it off, but keep that quiet. I haven't said that. But the next thing, of course, is that you've then got the sort of mixing stage, where the final feel of the piece changed, not considerably, but it changed enough to make us go, yeah, this is exactly how we want. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to play you little bits of my original demo, and then I'll explain what happened to take it from this to the final Bill Drescher mix. So here's the original demo. So this is still me playing everything apart from the drums, which is Lloyd, and obviously Bex is singing and what have you. And to be honest, at this point, there's not a great deal of difference between this and the final thing. What I will do is, just stop that for a second. What happened after that? Once we got it all recorded, we then added things to it, and because we were recording over at Mark's place over at M2, we decided that the whole album needed to be a bit rockier. So what we did with the chorus, we put in a big, this was Mark's great idea, put in just a big power chord thing into the chorus, so that when it kicked into the chorus it got big. But we also said to Sheena, who was doing the original mixes for this, so, if you've got any ideas for this, throw them in. And she put some great ideas into this that I wouldn't have thought of. And it became a sort of further template for Bill to then do his final mix. Here's the first thing she did. So now the piano part, instead of just being a piano part, it's got that sort of reverse echo going on.
Yeah.
Which is genius, It sort of gives it that more haunting feel. And the choruses, she did some great stuff. Can you hear that little pulse thing going on there? Great little idea. That's now the Bill Drescher mix, which is just more expansive. It's bigger.
Yeah.
Still got all of those little elements in there. There's that switch to the A chord that I was talking about. Not the full-on major yet, but... Also, you've got Lloyd, which is now putting loads of lovely rim work into this just to make it more rhythmic. And now we go on to Bill. He's got a hold of these drums and he's just made them huge. So this is the bridge, and then kicking into the main chorus, you get this great big A chord. There. And all of a sudden this dark thing has become uplifting. Still the piano's there, doesn't go all the way through now, we're sort of bringing it in and out. So the whole of this has been a process, taking it from the demo, getting Rick to play piano, getting Dan to play the bass on it. Dan brought in this hideous bass thing that actually suited the song perfectly. It got this thing called a rail, which was perfect for that sort of deep dub sound. I think Sheena actually added a bass synth to it as well, which really gives it some depth. Well, so with the mixing, what all that's happened is that they've taken that original demo, recorded it properly and better with with the band, and then you're just fine tweaking the EQ and the reverbs and all of that business to either make it as big or as small as you want it to be.
Yeah, we explained in a previous cast about how the American guys wanted a more expansive sound, and that is kind of oversimplifies really what Bill brought to it, and then Chris did with the other tracks when he tried to sort of echo that, if you'll pardon the pun. But yeah, to the point, it's interesting to see how this works. And is this a typical way a song between the two of you develops?
Depends on where the original ideas come from. As if it's my original idea, then the first stages of receiving the idea are sort of skipped, and I'll just go straight to doing a pretty full-on arrangement. It's very rare that I just put down a guitar part and say to Bex, "Do you like that guitar part?" Generally, I won't be able to leave it alone, and I'll be putting all sorts of bits and pieces on. But yeah, in terms of an idea that Bex has started, and then I've then fleshed out and then recorded finally, and yeah, that's pretty standard, yeah. And I think all of lyrically, Bex has written all of the lyrics to that. So, but as I say, there's a lot of development that's gone in. Well, I mean, you can hear from the original piano piece, some of which is Bex's ideas, some of which are mine, and some of which are Sheena and Mark's as well.
I hesitate to go here with this. What would you like to say a little bit about the challenges of reproducing that on stage?
Yeah. Which is what we're presently going through. I think we've played this a couple of times on live. And what you have to do is you can't get all of those parts in. Number one, the keyboard player just hasn't got enough hands. There aren't enough guitars to get all the different guitar parts on there. Although really, I suppose essentially there's only 2 guitar parts on there. So some of the finer points, like that little pulsy thing that we have, I mean, we can get that on stage, but probably you'd lose it live anyway. So what you're looking for a big guitar sound, particularly in the choruses. You're looking for a way of getting that the keyboard riff, the classic keyboard riff, to play, which obviously that then restricts the keyboard player. That restricts Nigel and Aidan, who's playing it at the moment. So we then have that on a loop that Lloyd and now our new drummer Neil triggers off a sample pad. I mean, we could go down the full route of taking all of the demo and putting it on and then playing to a track, but we don't want to do that.
No.
We want to have little parts coming in and out that's controlled by us, so that if we want to go off on one, then we can. It's not just completely inflexible. No,
the obvious going off piece is if the sort of the choral bit at the end, the whoa 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 bit, gets going, and an audience got into that. You probably want to go with that for a while, wouldn't you? If people were singing along.
And there's a few other gizmos. I mean, I've started using a harmonizer so I can get some of the harmonies on the whoa 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 bits going on at the end. But essentially, that's just me singing into a box. But yeah, it is difficult to get that fullness of sound. But you then
I've heard it. I can't remember, it's once or twice now. Certainly, you did it at the Georgian Theatre at Stockton because I was filming you there while you were doing it, and I mean, it just sounds great. Even with all the points you've made about the various nuances that you can't capture. I mean, it is a brilliant and uplifting song, and that comes across even in a in inverted commas stripped down performance that you're constrained to do live. Well, that's brilliant. Thank you very much for that. What I'll almost certainly do is play out. You've all heard snippets of the whole thing on the way through, and it's nothing more frustrating than that. So we'll play out with the full track to end the cast. But thanks very much, Steve. Thanks for that insight to the process.
Well, it's a process that was obviously still going through now for the next album.
Yes,
so,
indeed.
This is what we're doing all the time. Just to get material.
Well, as I said before, there's a number of songs in the. We've got demo songs salted away of because it's a process as well, which it's not formulaic, isn't it? So you guys will set off down the track and you'll work away at the song. You'll take the song where the song wants to go, and then you stand up and say, "Oh, actually, that's a bit." X, Y, or Z. You know, there's some soul numbers that you've produced. There's some sort of country-esque numbers that you've produced, which probably, you know, in the fullness of time, may see the light of the day in the final form. But they would have to be in a particularly sort of badged and branded piece of output, wouldn't they?
Yeah. What this process does save, it saves hours of time from the rest of the band, because if you substitute the fact that I'm putting together this sort of fairly detailed, well, almost totally detailed demo, that would represent hours of rehearsal with a band, and instead you can say, okay, is this working? Yeah, it's working. Is it not working? No, it's not working. We've saved you the trouble, lads. So you know what I mean. And it's unless you're working together full time. Or unless you've got the scary thing, like we've said before, of going into the studio and saying, well, I might have got about a couple of chord progressions, or I haven't even got that. What we're going to do, we've got an album to put together. No. that would you'd end up, well, as bands do, ripping each other's eyes out.
Well, I mean, I take my hat off to people who can do it that way, and I appreciate that some people work better under pressure. And everybody has their own way of working. But I think what this has done, and particularly, you know, now it's become a refined process, as I said again in a previous cast, the one piece of feedback that we get consistently about More Sinner Than Saint is that it is a very consistent album. You know, the tracks, all people's view of the tracks, there's a pecking order which moves around a little bit, but by and large, there's 12 belting tracks on there in most people's opinions. So that is an indicator as well, I think, of the product of this process, the way that all of that effort that goes in, all of that refining, all of that sifting does in the end produce good tracks for the album, and hopefully we'll do that again next time.
Yep.
Someday you'll get it right, son. Someday I'll be strong. You won't be holding me back, and it won't be long before I stand my feet.
So, as we come towards the end of this, the $1 million question for Rebecca. What is this song all about then? Can you remember?
Yeah, I can. I mean, I've looked at the lyrics as well, but it's kind of like it was a place in my life where you don't know how you got there, and you don't want to be there, and you're trying to find your way out, and that's what the lyrics are. You know, it's not exactly. I mean, I say this to a lot of people. Ask what lyrics are about, and it's never like 100% about any one thing. It can be, you know, what you're going through plus other things, and this is definitely that. But it was a feeling that created these lyrics, and the feeling was, I don't want to be here. How the hell did I get here, and how do I get out? And that was this song.
So, thank you to both Steve and Rebecca for taking us through that journey of the song, from simple tinkle on a piano to the final Bill Drescher mix, which in my view is such a pivotal part of the More Sinner Than Saint album. And thank you to everyone for listening. This episode's merchandise discount code is FEET, in capitals FEET. If you apply this at the relevant place on the checkout process in the shop at www.rebeccadowns.com/shop, you will receive a 5% discount. Just to say that if you head on over to eBay, you will find the Believe and RD logo t-shirts and the RD polo shirts on very special offer indeed. We will be back again in a couple of weeks' time with another offering, but in the meantime there's only one way to end this episode, and that is with the track itself. Ladies and gentlemen, Stand on My Feet, written by Steve Burkitt and Rebecca Downs. Enjoy.